Here in Cincinnati, ready for Atlantic 10 basketball. The Fordham Rams on the road to hook up with the Xavier Musketeers here at Cintas Center. And we are on the Fordham bus outside the building. Jason Knapp and Steve Wolf. And Steve, this is really a symbol of how hard it is to win on the road in conference play. And Xavier has found that out the hard way the last two outings with losses at Duquesne and at Dayton.
Well, it really is tough on the road in the A-10. You have to be able to hold court at home, and you have to go on the road and win. Xavier losing their last two games, both on the road.
And those losses have resulted in a shakeup in the standings a little bit. The Musketeers have slid into a first-place tie with Dayton atop the Atlantic 10. St. Joe's just a half game back as the conference race really starts to tighten up here in the last few weeks of the regular season. So, Steve, as the Musketeers get back home here to Cintas Center, certainly they're going to try to rectify some of the problems that reared their ugly head in those road losses the last two times out.
Well, we talk about winning on the road. Xavier just really did not, respond well when Dayton and Duquesne hit them right in the face. Xavier didn't come back at them defensively, and really to win in those hostile environments in the A-10, you got to give a return punch.
And defensively, the Musketeers were somewhat exposed in those games as both the Dukes and the Flyers really were able to ratchet up the offense.
Well, Xavier has a target on their back. They were, 14th in the country going into the Dayton game. Also, they were 9th in the country going to the Duquesne game. And really, everybody's looking to give Xavier their best shot. And when Xavier doesn't get it done defensively, they're not going to win with their offense.
We'll see if they can turn the tide here at home, where they've won 21 straight games in Atlantic 10 conference play. For Fordham, it's been a rocky time in the present for the Rams, but the future looks quite bright, especially with Gio Fontaine, the leading scorer in the Atlantic 10 among freshmen.
Jason, he is so fun to watch, but it's on a struggling team. This Gio Fontaine played for Bobby Hurley at legendary St. Anthony's in New Jersey, and this kid is their leading scorer. He's also a leading assist man. And really, against Xavier in the first game, he had 10 points and 11 assists. This is a guy that's really going to help them in the future. But right now, they're really struggling with the present. Gio Fontaine is going to match up with Holloway. It'll be fun. Two freshmen playing against each other.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see if the Rams and their bus driver Eugene can ride on out of here with a victory, or will the Musketeers send them packing with a loss? Find out. Lineups in the opening tip from Cincinnati next. This presentation of Atlantic 10 College basketball is brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Cintas Center is rocking. The Musketeers back home, looking to turn things around after two straight losses, hooking up with the Rams of Fordham. Here's a look at the starting lineups for the squads. A couple of freshmen along the way on the floor. And big-time guys in action for Fordham, and actually Fontaine will be the sole freshman in the starting lineup. Sean Miller, 5th season as head coach, won the last two Atlantic 10 regular season titles, 3 straight NCAA trips for the Musketeers. Here at home in the white with the blue trim, they control Fordham in the maroon and white, and we are underway.
Dante Jackson making the start ahead of freshman Terrell Holloway. Holloway down on his confidence a little bit. Be interesting what Dante can bring to the Xavier starting lineup this afternoon.
Touched out of bounds. It'll be Fordham basketball. And there's a look at Derek Wittenberg, his 6th season at the helm of Fordham. Of course, won a national title with Jim Valvano at NC State in 1983. And his team has 1 win so far in conference play. They've battled some injuries and try to struggle on without 2 of their top players who are both done for the year.
It's interesting this afternoon to see how Xavier comes out defensively on the ball with the aggressiveness that they usually bring at the Cintas Center.
Herb Tanner getting the start, working in the lineup for Fordham, coming off a 10-point, 3-rebound performance in the loss against UMass. And from the baseline, Alberto Eswick with the jumper. Or check it, it's Mike Moore converting from the baseline, and Fordham is on the board. And that's lost out of bounds by the Musketeers.
On that kind of pass, especially when you're throwing to a big guy, what you like to do is get the ball up high. It's a heck of a lot easier for a big guy who's 6'9", 6'10", to get the ball above his head rather than down by his ankles.
Well, Xavier 71-58 at Dayton Wednesday. A second straight loss in conference after the perfect 8-0 start in a game in which they trailed the entire way. And behind here at the outset, and now a foul on the inside. Derek Brown picks up the personal foul on the interior.
You see Jacob Green is moving inside, because there's a lot of injuries for Fordham. Green is having to shoulder some of the offensive load.
Moore again for the baseline, can't get it. Green battling, and another foul here. Is that back-to-back on Brown? We'll see. Yes, it is. So that's 2 quickies on the junior out of Dayton.
Green broke his nose against St. Louis and really was playing well up to that point in time. He's had a problem adjusting to that, and now they're going right at Derek Brown.
Oh, and Musketeer fans had their hearts in their mouth there. That could have been 3 in a row on Brown, but it's a travel before the foul. And Sean Miller opting to leave in his leading scorer at this point. Surprised?
No, I think that Derek Brown, education-wise and grade-wise, is a senior. He's a smart kid. Got to be able to play with 2 fouls this early in the game.
Dante Jackson can't hit the long-range shot. Lead feed for Moore. Looking to draw the contact. Doesn't get that, but gets the 2. He's got all 4 for the Rams.
Moore, the second leading scorer on the team. Really athletic. He's having a pretty good sophomore year.
Coming off a near double-double against UMass, 21 points and 9 rebounds. He's been working off the bench in recent games, but getting thrust into the starting lineup in this one. Jackson open from the corner. That one goes down for 3.
Jason, what they're doing is they're leaving everybody off of Jackson and packing it in. That's a second wide-open jump shot that Jackson had. Able to knock it down.
25th 3-ball of the season for the sophomore from Greenfield, Ohio. And the Musketeers held under 60 points at Dayton, held under 70 at Duquesne. And giving up more than 70 in both, uncharacteristic for a team that before those 2 games had been among the top 10 in field goal percentage defense in the nation. On the move for Fordham and taking it right in. Another opportunity. Moore has been very active at the outset.
I think you can tell that Derek Wittenberg watched both the Duquesne and the Dayton game. Good dribble penetration by Moore, trying to take it to the basket. This Fordham team has nothing to lose, and they're coming out of the gate trying to attack the Musketeers where they've had the most problem, and that's in the middle of the court.
See the numbers on Mike Moore. And able to knock down the first free throw attempt, 73% shooter from the line. And Xavier, when you talked to Sean Miller this week and understanding what he was looking at, they were very concerned about the driving abilities of Fontaine, but so far it's been the other guard doing most of the penetration.
I think that Sean Miller's concerned about anybody driving to the basket. This defense needs to get its swagger back, and right now they just seem like they're walking on eggshells on both ends of the court. They need to put those last 2 games behind them. You see C.J. Anderson taking it strong in there. Great defense by Jacob Green, holding his ground.
And maybe holding on to his mask as well. You saw that mask there. He got popped in the face again.
Playing with that, it really affects your peripheral vision. He was playing so well and, continues to get it done, but it's still hard to be able to see around with that big mask on.
Green looking for position inside. And now gets the basketball. Going up strong, has it blocked away.
Great help defense by McLean.
C.J. Anderson. Terrell Holloway on the take, now kicks it back out high. Holloway left open. It's back iron from the corner. Rebound inside. McLean puts it home.
That's a big point of emphasis for Sean Miller. If you go to the offensive glass, it doesn't matter if you get the rebound, but if you can tip it around, that really should be an assist for C.J. Anderson, getting McLean the easy dunk.
Xavier's squared it at 5. And here is Fontaine, freshman from New Jersey. Again, averaging over 15 points and about 5 assists per contest. He has been the leader for the Rams throughout this season. Moore again on the take. Strong move to the hole for Jackson and Xavier, and foul. Now the Musketeers have responded from the early punch. Xavier on the inside, tied at 5 early on.
This season, no team is safe. See the teams making noise all season long on the CBS College Sports Network.
Here on Valentine's afternoon, early evening, yeah, they love Sean Miller here. And they love their freshman, Jarrell Holloway. Here's him matched up with fellow first-year player Gio Fontaine. Good guard battle to look at this afternoon.
You know, Jason, you look at these two stats. These are two freshmen that are really going through similar years. They're the really only true point guard for their team. But you have Fontaine, who has got to shoulder a lot of the offensive burden. You know, he's 8th in the A-10 in scoring. He's 4th in assists. Where you have Holloway is really trying to stir the drink for Sean Miller and get everybody actively involved. His numbers aren't as good, but he is a very big contributor to this Musketeer team.
Xavier jumping on top for the first time in this game with a free throw from Jackson, who was reinserted back into the starting lineup for this one. He had started the first 11 games of the year and then come off the bench in the past 12. But back on the floor, Holloway coming off a little bit of a rough outing at Dayton. 22 minutes, no points, no assists, and 2 turnovers.
Yeah, and you're playing against arguably two of the quickest guards in the conference with Lowry and London Warren, and they really did a great job containing Xavier's guards. The same with Aaron Jackson. He is a fantastic player for Duquesne. Just did a great job against the Musketeers. Earned himself conference honors.
Tanner with the kick out. And Moore holding high. Fontaine off the screen. Rebound to Jackson. Holloway. He'll deal to the side. Brad Redford, the freshman three-point ace, can't convert from deep. Estwick left alone. And the shot's not falling from deep for either squad so far.
You look at Redford, he just looks like Opie Taylor. But I'll tell you what, this kid's got the quickest release. Call him Quick Draw McGraw because he gets that ball out of his hand so fast. And he's got excellent follow-through. He's always looking to put up that jump shot. Actually shooting better from three-point line than from 2.
It's Jackson connecting from the corner from 3. Well, Jackson with a pair of triples. He's got 8 of Xavier's 10 points.
And that's important for Xavier to get Jackson, really get his confidence back up. You said he sat up, came off the bench the last couple of games, and now being reinserted, he's got to give some leadership.
Nice turn in traffic from Tanner, the junior from Boston, Mass. Gets it back to a 3-point difference. Redford will pull the trigger from deep. Got it. He's got 39 field goals on the season. 36 of them have been 3 balls.
11 points at Rose Hill in the first meeting. And, you know, Tanner closed out on him pretty good, Jason. And he was a little frustrated because he knows when Redford gets the ball, it's going up.
10-2 run right now for Xavier. And Tanner makes it back-to-back buckets. First the deuce, and now the triple.
Now, as my college coach would say with Tanner and Redford, what is this, a battle of the unarmed opponents? Play a little defense. Both of them got to come out and extend on that 3.
Jason Love. And the blocking foul called on the inside against Luke Devine.
Redford gets rid of the ball so well. Freshman to freshman, you'll see the pump fake. Gets it up very, very quick. But then on the other end, you got to extend. Tanner is being guarded by Redford. You got to put a hand in his face. You can't let him have an open jump shot. And I might be apt to let Tanner shoot the ball from 3-point range. He's only scoring it at about 17%. But you got to make sure you extend. And that's really what Xavier's frustration has been in really the last 4 or 5 games. I think that B.J. Raymond had a pretty decent defensive game against Deontay Christmas when they beat Temple. But Xavier's been really into a defensive law. You know, you get involved in offensive laws. But I think right now, for Xavier, they got to get their swagger back on the defensive end.
You saw that score, a little bit of a shocker. Second straight loss for St. Joe's in conference. LaSalle gets him in that crosstown shootout in Philadelphia, 75-68. talking about the struggles for Xavier, Dante Jackson yesterday saying, look, we have to focus, play with more intensity, especially on the defensive end. We understand we took some shots in the mouth, as you alluded to before, on the road, and simply we've got to get it done starting with this game here at home.
You shouldn't have the nerves on the defensive end, so you can always come out and play hard, and I think that when you go on the road, that should be your badge. And you know, St. Joe's lost at LaSalle. It's winning on the road. This is a tough conference, and people need to realize that if you don't come ready to play in the A-10, you're going to get beat.
Tanner. 10 to shoot here for the Rams. Fontaine will run traffic. Estwick lost it. Anderson diving for it. And the shot clock expired.
That was great play by Jacob Green. A lot of times when you're injured, you're afraid to get in there. But he really went after that ball with aggressiveness. And watch how he turned his body when he went after the basketball. Because C.J. Anderson was going after it. He turned his body and protected the ball and was able to get a timeout. Jacob Green, they only win 3 games so far this year, but they're giving it everything they have here at Cintas Center.
Well, they've changed the call. Originally, there was a shot clock violation call, but the officials confer. They said that Fordham did get a timeout before the clock expired, so they put 1 second on the shot clock. Derek Wittenberg trying to draw something up. It's got to be, you would assume, a lob for somebody inside. Here's a look at Dante Jackson and what he's achieved to this point.
Well, he's been really struggling. He was 1 for 6 in the last 2 games, only averaging 3 points, but he was out early, and I had to talk to him, and he said, Mr. Wolf, I'm going to get my confidence back. He is a very good kid, really has a lot of heart, and I think he embodies what the Xavier program's trying to do, but he's got to get that confidence back. Looks like he's got it so far.
Fontaine with a heave and hits for 3. Well, Coach Wittenberg drew it up, and they executed to perfection, and Fordham has responded. We're tied again at 13. Holloway. There, the quick 3 won't go for the Musketeers. Fontaine driving and rejected.
Jason, you saw that last jump shot by Fontaine. He had the still photo finish with his hand following through. That was all legs and wrist. You'll see beautiful squaring up to the basket. And then the pose. Fontaine, talking to Derek Wittenberg, he said the biggest problem he has right now is that Fontaine is not able to play with an upperclassman that really knows how to win. You got Brenton Butler, who got hurt early, the top leading scorer from last year. He hasn't been able to play with him.
Well, Tanner is the leading scorer so far in this one for the Rams. He is filling it up to the tune of 7 early points for a guy that averages less than 3 a game.
Fordham shooting 66% from the 3-point line.
Raymond on fire from 3. An immediate answer for the Musketeers. Back in front. Well, Raymond at 18 against Fordham in the win in January. In the lane, bucket waved off. There's a foul on the floor before the shot. Well, Fontaine will have the opportunity to do some damage from the line. Doing some damage from deep. That's a tape measure shot for the freshman. Well, X certainly marks the spot here at home at Cintas Center, and Xavier with a 1-point edge on Fordham here in the first half. And the last 2 games, road losses at Dayton and Duquesne for the Musketeers. The numbers really tell the story, Steve.
Well, and that's really the offensive end of it. I think that Sean Miller and company, looking at the defensive end in the last 2 games, the opponents are scoring at 51.5% clip. And right now, Fordham is shooting 50% and 66% from behind the 3-point line. So really the troubles, I think, not only in the offensive end, probably more on the defensive end.
Sean Miller making that very clear yesterday afternoon. Normally good half-court, man-to-man defensive team, just not good in that category. Not only in the last 2 losses, but really all 4 losses on the season. They have to get better, was the statement from the coach. And right now, Fordham continues to have their way on the offensive end. That's 2 more for Mike Moore.
That's a real tough matchup for Brad Redford. Moore, bigger, quicker, stronger. Redford's got to be quick, getting out and closing out on Moore. He needs help from his teammates.
on the cut inside. McLean able to use the window.
Great look by Brown.
And McLean did 4 points, 5 rebounds against Dayton. And he's already checked in with a couple of buckets in this one. Green on the take and fouled along the way by.
You see right now what Fordham is doing. They're dribble penetrating and then having guys cut to the basket, really trying to attack Xavier on the inside. You see right here, Tanner driving in the ball and then the help in the lane by McLean, and then Green going strong to the basket. You got to help and recover a little bit quicker.
Green sticks the first free throw. That's the first foul on McLean, 5th as a team on Xavier.
Fordham doing a real nice drop job of punching back Xavier when Xavier makes a basket. Fordham coming down and trying to get a quick score inside.
Off the second missed free throw. Redford, quick catch, shoot, and hit.
Jason, he does not bring that ball down. He keeps it up high, and you think you have a chance to come out and extend on it, but he keeps the ball up high and just flicks his wrist.
Second three of the game for Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan in high school last year. Fontaine can't hit from deep. Jackson finds a wide open shooter, with a connection not made by Raymond. Moore, little rainbow from the baseline, and Mike Moore is feeling it. He's got 9.
You can tell why Derek Wittenberg loves Mike Moore. Only a sophomore, but he is sweet.
And Redford responds right away with his 3rd triple of the game. And that's part of the contest that plagued Xavier on the defensive end and not picking up.
I was watching him shoot in practice a couple weeks ago, and I was with Byron Larkin, the all-time leading scorer at Xavier. Chris Mack, the coach, comes over and he looks at Byron Larkin. He says, "Byron, close your mouth." He was just open his mouth, just watching him shoot jumpers from 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 feet beyond the NBA range. And kids, watch this release on this jump shot by Redford. Very quick, and for a short guy, he has to get off quick.
Now Redford has this place rocking, and Xavier back up by 4. He's small in stature, but he's rugged. Took that elbow in practice in January. Almost 20 stitches to the lip. And then the next night at St. Bonnie, came back out and had 14 points in 23 minutes. So he is accurate and rugged as well.
Where he never had stitches in his life. Really has never been injured. He had 10 plastic surgery stitches, and the pictures that I saw were very graphic. But he played the next night against St. Bonaventure. So far, 10 minutes gone in the game, and Xavier's not put the 7-footer Kenny Freeze in the game. He's got ankle injuries. Sean Miller is probably keeping him on the bench so he doesn't hurt anymore.
Tanner couldn't control inside, and Xavier has it. And the Musketeers give it right back. Been a fairly crisp game as far as turnovers. Xavier now is 3, Fordham with 2, and 2 of those combined 5 in the last 15 seconds.
Right. Xavier has problems with turnovers, and I think the biggest problem is their passive turnovers, or the turnovers where the defense isn't that extended on you. And against Duquesne, they turned the ball over 7 times in the early going, and really Duquesne got their offense going because of Xavier's turnovers. Their defense picked up.
Each squad with 8 field goals, 2 free throws, but 6 of Xavier's 8 field goals have been from three-point land. That's the difference of the game. Green trying to get the lob, alertly read by Anderson, who broke it up.
Great help defense by Anderson, coming off of wing and breaking up the alley-oop.
Raymond in heavy traffic, offensive foul. That's his first, number 6 on the Musketeers in the first half.
Mike Moore doing a great job, not only offensively, but helping out in the lane. We talk about help defense. Look at that. 4 guys converging on B.J. Raymond. Good defense by Fordham. And a nice take by Mike Moore.
Fordham last in a lot of categories in the conference, but they are hanging right with one of the squads in first place. Fontaine, miscommunication with Moore.
Here you look at this lineup right now. There's 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a walk-on senior. They're missing, as we've talked about, Brenton Butler. They're missing Chris Bethel, both with injuries. Trey Blue is out of this game. He's got some family issues at home. So this is a depleted Fordham team, but they're not backing down to the Musketeers.
And the Rams already trying to replace a lot of scoring and starters from last year. And the injuries have slowed them down for a good portion, but not today. Fontaine with a cradle and lay-in.
Fontaine just taking advantage of Holloway on defense and dribble driving to the lane, protecting it with the cuff and laying it in. Right now, Fordham shooting 56% from the field.
It's waved off before the basket. Another offensive foul on Xavier. It's going to be on Love for the pick, but Fontaine really rolling for the Rams. Here at Xavier, the home fans watching the visitors scream back in this one, thanks in part to hot shooting from Mike Moore.
And Mike Moore really is getting some confidence. Played great game against UMass. Hit highs in points and rebounds. You know, 21 points on Wednesday, and he's doing it again this afternoon. Last 2 games, he's averaging 18 points and almost 8 rebounds. And this is a kid that only averaged about 5 points last year, but Derek Wittenberg is really high on him. Says he's one of the most athletic players in the team, but he also knows the game of basketball.
Well, Derek Wittenberg's got to be thrilled with the performance from his squad. We watched them a week ago at George Washington really get blitzed in that opening half and never recovered. And they were hanging toe-to-toe with Xavier. And this shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. They have played well against some of the better teams in the conference. But Brian Gregory at Dayton said point blank, they should have beaten us. They deserved to win the game and lost it down the stretch in a 1-point defeat. One on the road at St. Bonaventure, and that's their only W in conference play so far.
It's not an easy win at St. Bonaventure. Mark Schmidt's got his guys going. They got one of the best freshmen in the conference in Nicholson. So this is a team that, you know, it's so easy when you're young to fool, but Derek Wittenberg's done a marvelous job of trying to keep these guys motivated, forget about the injuries, and go into every game trying to have a chance to win.
Foul on Zach Wing, his first, team's third. You see 7 already on the Musketeers. Fordham in the 1-and-1. And a 1-and-done in that sequence. And the Rams look to push at the other end. An offensive foul there.
That's your senior leadership, B.J. Raymond, sprinting back in transition to take the offensive foul. And really, that's what Xavier needs to do a little bit more of. They got to get a little bit more physical. That's great hustle by B.J. Raymond from one end of the court to the other.
Correction, that's 4 team fouls for Fordham.
Opening for Anderson.
Walked. You know, Xavier really looks confused in their offense. It's not as fluid as it was a couple weeks ago, and I really think it's because a lot of times Xavier gets everything they do off of their defense. Their defense right now is allowing Fordham to shoot 53% and 50% from behind the arc. They got to get this pace up and move a little bit. Right now, it is at Fordham's pace. They like this slow down, running 30 seconds off the shot clock.
8 field goals still for Xavier, but 6 of them 3, so they only have 2 twos. They have not done a lot from the interior or driving to the basket. Moore from deep, rimmed out. And a foul on Fordham. That's on Wing. That's his second. Number 5 on the Rams. Wing, a walk-on who's worked into the regular rotation for Derek Wittenberg and Fordham with the injuries. And again, as you talked about, Brenton Butler
out in the last 14 games. Chris Bethel, that was the big one, went down against St. Louis with a knee injury, out for the year. Is their second leading scorer and #1 rebounder. Brown on the inside with a follow flush.
Well, Mike Moore and Wing had no shot of getting that rebound. That ignites this crowd here at the Cintas Center. 10,250 in attendance.
The Musketeers awful strong here at home. 21 in a row in conference play, looking to make it 3 straight unbeaten conference seasons in Atlantic 10 play here at this building.
Xavier foul number 12, that's Brad Redford.
That foul is on Redford.
That's his first personal foul.
His first at number 8, so 1-1 situation here for Herb Tanner. I talked to Sean Miller before the game and asked him, did you get the response you would like from your team in practice after those back-to-back losses? And he said, well, the real story will be how they come out today. How do you think they've come out so far?
Well, I think they're coming out with aggressiveness. I think that you got to give Fordham a lot of credit because they are playing the style that Derek Wittenberg wants to play, slowing the ball down, dribble drive, making easy layups.
Now inside, Love, and that was easy.
Yeah, I think that people look at Fordham and say you've only won 3 games. This should be a 30-point game. I've heard that 20 times today. That's not the case. These are Division I athletes. You've got one of the best freshmen in the country running the show. You've got some great athletes. Every night in and out, you have to be ready to play, especially in the conference.
Certainly the losing has been growing on the Rams. And you get the sense at some point they're going to say enough's enough. Wing, too strong off the window. Gets it back and has it stripped. Quick hands from Redford. Wide open 3. Good rebound by Love. Raymond will try a triple.
Xavier's on a 7-0 run, and Jason, it's coming out of their defense. Great defense by Redford, leading to the fast break open 3. Xavier getting their offense out of that defense again.
Tanner from 18. Oh, tough shot and sticks it. Derek Wittenberg really high on the play of Herb Tanner, and in the starting lineup, he is not disappointed. That's 9 for him. But an immediate answer from Derek Brown.
I like this Tanner kid. He's got an attitude about him. He's very quick. He can shoot. He's just going to get better and better. And this is a tough matchup for Redford.
And a carry is called on Fordham. Well, the Musketeers right on target from deep. 8 3 balls so far in the first half. Raymond with 1, Brown with another. And the Musketeers by 10. Here at Cintas Center, the Musketeers have won 117 games with only 17 losses since it opened. 10-point lead here first half against a stingy bunch of Fordham Rams. Coming up at halftime, we'll find out more about Derek Brown. Xavier Jr., leading scorer, has really worked hard to expand his game. Hear from the junior himself about how he did that. We'll break down the Atlantic 10, thoughts on the conference as we hit the big portion of the schedule with the conference tournament about a month away. We'll get you the first half highlights and statistics from this one. Jason Knapp here with Steve Wolf. 10-2 push for the Musketeers in the last 2 and change.
And they're doing it on the defensive end and turning it into offensive points. And, you know, you talk about this Fordham team, probably not going to make the A-10 tournament, but that tournament in New Jersey ought to be outstanding this year.
Nice baseline turn for McLean. He's got 6. Fontaine beat Jackson. Great help from Anderson on the block. 3 won't fall for Raymond. Moore racing back. Blocking foul is the call. Xavier fans wanted to walk.
You see now, this is not the pace that Derek Wittenberg wants, but Sean Miller's looking at it and said, I'll take it. Moore getting out. You see what a good athlete he is. The NBA, that looks like a good move. But you see right there, Jackson thinking he got back to take the charge. Right now, what Fordham wants to do is get back in that slow-down game. They have to take care of the ball on the offensive end.
Free throw is good from Moore. You see Holloway returning for the Musketeers, and Jackson takes a seat. That last personal on him, his first. 9th as a team for the Musketeers. And Moore converts the second as well. Now Holloway was out before the game with an assistant coach and a chair working on his dribbling, and some of the pick plays certainly that the Musketeers want to run turned over there, and Moore lost it out of bounds.
That was great hustle by both Redford and Holloway, getting back to try to break up that fast break attempt by Moore. It's important to sprint the recover, and you see Redford just dropping his head and running. Didn't tip the ball, but Moore heard footsteps.
Eighth turnover for the Rams, and 7th for the Musketeers. Eswick returns. Xavier fans certainly may remember him for the January 11th game. He had a career-high 20 in that one. He and Fontaine, teammates at St. Anthony's, playing for the legendary Bob Hurley in New Jersey in their year last year, and trying to recruit more guys from that area to the Fordham squad next year. They've got a healthy dose of nice recruits coming in.
And that's Fontaine is phenomenal off the dribble. And you talk about Eswick. Eswick didn't even start for that team last year that went undefeated, the national champs. He is a very good player, and he's getting better and better. And what Derek Wittenberg likes, he played in a similar system Derek Wittenberg did at DeMatha, that you got guys that understand what is a good shot, and great ball presence by Fontaine. So he likes guys that are coachable, and those guys from St. Anthony surely are coachable kids.
And he's certainly one of the biggest recruiters, if you will, for Fordham this year, trying to get some more guys to come on in and help build this program back up. Good work on the offensive glass for the Musketeers and Love.
Jason Love doing a very nice job on the second shot of not bringing it down. And that's why he was able to get the foul. Ball went up, he kept up in front of him and kept on tipping. You'll see, keep the ball above your head. CJ brings it down, but Love just keeps it up. Plays a little volleyball. Why that was a foul called.
And Love at the line, great success story, much improved from his freshman year. Now shooting at an 80% clip, one of the best free throw shooters on this team. And that, Steve, is just the third free throw attempted for Xavier, a team that gets to the line so much, and that's been one thing that hasn't happened the last couple of games as well. They haven't gotten there a lot, and they've shot poorly once they have gotten there.
Well, they got to the free throw line against Duquesne. They just couldn't make it. They were 14 for 26. And really the big problem there was Derek Brown was 8 for 15. He's one of the best free throw shooters on this team. But Sean Miller, after the Butler game, instituted the free throw shooting club and has gotten his kids to shoot a couple hundred free throws every day outside of practice. So they're working hard on it. It's just a concentration and focus to be able to make free throws. It's a lot mental.
And again, the Musketeers on average get to the line about 27 times per game. That's among the top 10 in that category in the nation so far, with the first half almost gone. Only been there 4 times. Defense was working, and then Holloway called for the shove on Tanner.
You can live with that. I think Sean Miller doesn't mind that at all because it shows the aggressiveness out in the passing lanes. Holloway up tight on him. Dante Jackson doing a great job of denial on Fontaine. Fontaine cannot score if he doesn't have the ball in his hands. You'll see Holloway, as soon as he picks his dribble up, the idea is to get in there and use your hands. Make sure he has no chance of getting rid of that ball.
Tanner sticks the first free throw. It's the second foul on Holloway. And he'll take a seat.
Tanner's got a good attitude. He's a guy that plays with a lot of passion. His cousin, Raheem Brock, actually plays football for the Indianapolis Colts, so he's got some athletic ability in those jeans.
Second free throw won't go, and tapped out of bounds by the Vine of Fordham. Estwick returns, Spelling more.
Right now, if you're Xavier, you want to go in the half up at least double digits. And if you're Fordham, you want to come and get it down under 10 points. So it's really a battle of who's going to be able to get the momentum going into halftime.
Fontaine called for the hold as Raymond was roaming by. Eric Wittenberg doesn't agree. First foul on Fontaine. That's team number 7, so 1-and-1 situation here for the Xavier senior.
You watch these guys that shoot good free throws. B.J. Raymond and Holloway, both the top free throw shooter for Xavier, shooting about 79%, but you watch their follow through. A lot of guys move off the line. You always watch Shaq, he's moving around. You can't move, it's like hitting a golf shot. You know, it's no different than putting. You don't move your feet when you're shooting a free throw. You stay there, you know, you have high arch and you follow through and you have your hand going in through the basket. That's the way you're supposed to do it.
Raymond.
Just like that.
Gets the second as well, and again, under 60% on the season, and he's the guy that has the most attempts. And Fontaine is a similar story for Fordham. He gets to the line a lot and is not the greatest of free throw shooters as well.
He needs to take a couple steps back and dribble a couple, make a pump fake, and shoot that jumper. He's got a sweet jump shot. You'd think he'd have a great free throw.
And again, he was more of a distributor, facilitator in high school, and has really opened some eyes with his scoring prowess with the Rams in his first year. But again, a lot of it's been because of necessity.
He played with Mike Rosario, who's now at Rutgers, pretty darn good player. He's averaging more points here at Fordham than he did in high school.
Anderson will pull up for the elbow. Rebound by Fontaine.
That is not the shot that Sean Miller wants. C.J. Anderson is a driver and slasher, not a jump shooter. That's not the offense they want. Xavier now will try to hold for the last shot. About 2-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock.
And Sean Miller will take a timeout and set something up here with 30.4 seconds left to go. And don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll dive into the world of Derek Brown. Learn how he honed his skills and game in the offseason. And it's really paid off for the junior from Dayton, Ohio. We'll break down the Atlantic 10. Saw first half highlights and statistics from this one as well. Coming up in 30.4 seconds of game time from now.
You know, Derek Brown is a great story because as all the seniors that have passed through here for many, many years, Derek has already graduated. He's taken graduate courses, you know, so he obviously got up for the NBA. They don't talk about it here, but he's a kid that I think that if he stays around, really could get better. He's improved every year under this coaching staff, and I think it's important that he continues the tutelage under Chris Mack and Sean Miller, Book Richardson, James Witchford, and the whole group. They do a great job of getting guys ready for the league.
You know what's shocking when you look at the way that Redford shoots the three ball, and Brown actually a better percentage three-point shooter coming into this game than the ace from long range. In that part of his game, he's expanded his range, he's more proficient at it, and that's got to make him even more attractive to coaches and scouts at the next level. Redford found the open man in Brown. Estwick from beyond half court almost went down. And the Musketeers down at the outset, but ahead here at halftime. Jackson with 8 points, 5 rebounds, and the Musketeers in front at home. 42-29, the halftime score. Back with more from halftime in a moment here in Cincinnati.
Hey everyone, Adam Zucker with you here at halftime of our game between Fordham and Xavier. We'll get you back out to Cincinnati shortly. This year's Musketeers team led in scoring by B.J. Raymond and Derek Brown, each averaging about 14 points per game. While Raymond is remembered for his big threes that put Xavier in the Elite Eight last year, Brown was a high-wire act, using his athleticism to lead the team with 73 dunks. But now he's expanded his range well beyond the rim. This offseason, he developed his outside shot and has been on fire from three-point range.
Derek Brown is a gifted athlete, he's a gifted player. We played one-on-one when we got here, because we came in together. I got a little move I thought nobody could block. So, I put a little shoulder on him, and I put up the shot, and then he pinned it against the backboard. Then I went to the basket again, and he blocked it again. And I was like, guy's a freak.
In his sophomore season at Xavier, Derek Brown made a name for himself as a one-man highlight show, leading his team in dunks while shooting 61% from the floor. But the 6'8" forward's ability to score remained mostly one-dimensional. A reluctant outside shooter, Brown hit just 34% of his three-point attempts last year.
When I got here, I was about 185, and all I really could do was probably jump. I didn't have a jumper.
Transition basketball was when he thrived. So a lot of what you saw Derek was just blending in and adding his great talent to those teams, where what we needed him to do was just that, finish and be a great athlete. This year has been harder. We need him to score more, to be a better basketball player. It's been an adjustment for him.
Knowing the graduation of several key seniors would open up his role as a scorer this year, Brown committed himself to extending his range during the offseason, spending countless hours in the gym, perfecting his left-handed release.
All he kept saying in the summer was, I don't want to be known as a dunker. I just don't want to be known as a dunker. That's not what I want to be known as. I just think it was good determination he had this summer of knocking down that wall of the fear of shooting a three. I was in the gym and I shot a lot. My mechanics, they might have changed a little bit. My footwork might have changed a slight, but it was more just repetition and getting to my brain that I can shoot.
He shot as many shots in our program over the last 2 off seasons as any player, and his numbers don't lie. You could tell that his investment has really paid off.
Through 23 games this season, Brown has shot a red-hot 47% from beyond the arc, while leading the Musketeers in both scoring and rebounding. The forward's newfound versatility has Xavier back in the hunt for an A-10 championship.
He has the biggest advantage because he's quick like a guard. He's quicker than bigs, so when the bigs back up, he can shoot the jump shot. That's why he's deadly. I feel like the older you get, the more and more you gotta bring stuff to your game, and I wanted to do it myself because I knew I had it in me.
I want Derek to think about the NBA. Sometimes by shying away from the talk of that, he can almost shy away from the responsibility of being the best player in the gym. If Derek focuses on being the best player in the gym, the rest will take care of itself because his talent can take him there.
Derek Brown, not just a jumper, a jump shooter as well. And that'll do it from here in New York. I'm Adam Zucker. The second half between Fordham and Xavier on the way. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Here at Cintas Center, Xavier on top of Fordham by 13, 42-29. At the break in Cincinnati, Steve Wolf, Jason Knapp, we are here together, and the first half in this game, Xavier really came out and finally did what it needed to do, and that's put some good offense together with those 8 3-pointers.
Well, they got it really out of the defense. I thought they did a really good job, especially the latter part of the first half, creating steals, getting up in the flow, and then getting open jump shots in transition. That's really been the key in this game this afternoon.
And again, they needed to prove something at home after those last 2 losses on the road. Take a look at the Atlantic 10 standings. Up to date, even with action from this afternoon. There you see the Musketeers in a tie with Dayton. St. Joseph's, a second straight loss already today. At LaSalle after the loss at Temple the other night. And now Rhode Island with a big victory. The Rams surging. They snapped St. Louis's 4-game winning streak with a win this afternoon. The Musketeers, Steve Wolf, coming up their future games down the line. You look at what's ahead for the Musketeers, the home stretch here in the regular season.
Well, I think you look at those 3 games on the road. Those are very pivotal. You got Richmond, who just beat Duquesne at Richmond. We talk about moving on the road. You have to win those games. I think that Charlotte, upset Dayton at Charlotte. So any team, when you go into their facility, you better be ready for a fight. Xavier, I think, has to win at least 2 of those 3 games on the road.
And certainly the Musketeer fans worried about their squad and also tracking what the folks across the state are doing at Dayton. Here's what the Flyers have ahead of them, and certainly that rematch looming here at Cintas Center early in March really could figure out who's going to have that top seed headed into the Atlantic 10.
Yeah, and I look at that Rhode Island team that's really surging. Jimmy, Barron, Seawright, and those guys are playing very well. But also, I think St. Louis, they're very, very young, but they're stingy on defense. Duquesne went to St. Louis, and Duquesne came away with the L. So I think that this is a very tough schedule. Xavier, we're talking about winning 2 or 3. I think the same goes to with Dayton. They have to win 2 or 3 on the road.
Well, St. Joe's, again, back-to-back losses to Temple and now LaSalle, and with really no signature win in the non-conference, imperative for St. Joe's to win a lot of these games and then really go deep, if not win, the Atlantic 10 tournament to make it to the NCAA.
Well, they got to get back on track. I think after losing this afternoon, they have to really go in to St. Louis and take it to them. Ahmad Nevins is a wonderful player. They got good guard play. It's going to be very hard for St. Louis to contain them.
Deontay Christmas and the Temple Owls, they had that non-conference win against Tennessee, which has lost a little luster with the Vol struggles. Another one against another possible bubble team in Penn State, and here's what the Owls have in front of them.
Well, Temple, beating St. Joe's, they had an 11-point lead and saw that dwindle away, but they held on for the win. Now, that was at the Palestra. Really was not a home game, I think, for St. Joe's, but you look at the rest of the schedule here for them, they have a tough game at Dayton, and George Washington should be a wash. You ought to be able to win that game. I think they have a little bit easier schedule than the other 3 teams.
And Rhode Island suddenly has made this push. They're 7-4 now in conference, Stevie. Their 4 conference losses by a combined 17 points. So they've been in there, and with Jimmy Barron, Seawright on the inside, they're a tough team and a tough out upcoming.
Well, they have a great coach, too, and I think that they are surging. They struggled really early in the year, especially in conference play. Xavier beat them on their home court and really got them before Rhode Island has started to gel. Jimmy Barron is playing a lot better right now. A little bit more consistent. He was inconsistent early in the year, and I think that Jim Barron's got this team poised for the A-10 tournament.
Kind of tells the story of Xavier in this first half. Inconsistent for a little bit, and then they started catching everything in sight. Second half on the way from Ohio. A 42-point first half for the Musketeers, the 14th ranked team in the nation here at home against Fordham, and the lead by a baker's dozen. Jason Knapp and Steve Wolf, and the first half in this one, Dante Jackson had things working the right way.
Now, Dante's really been struggling the last 2 games. Only 1 for 6 combined, averaging about 3 points a game. And, Xavier's been struggling to get points off the bench. Redford coming in and giving them instant offense. Yeah, last game, they only had 17 points off the bench. Here in the first half, Dante Jackson, although he's starting this afternoon, combined with Redford for 17 in the first half.
Mike Moore really heating up, leading the way with 11 for Fordham.
He's doing a very good job of going inside and pulling up for jumpers, but also taking it in transition. He's been very active in the first half, and then here you go, Gio Fontaine throwing up the long-range jump shot. And he gives you everything he has each and every night. He's got 7 points and 1 assist on 3 of 8. He's been held in check. Xavier doing a pretty good job defensively on him.
Here's a look at the overall numbers, all the check marks in Xavier's favor. Maybe the most noticeable one, Steve, assists, 11. In the loss at Duquesne, they only had 11 helpers in the entire game. In the loss at Dayton, they only had 13 assists in the entire game, so they are sharing the basketball here.
You're right, and when you get the ball out in transition, you have an opportunity to get down the court before the defense sets up, and I think that's what they're doing. They're able to pass the ball and get direct assist to the basket. They have to make sure they make that extra pass, especially when you're out running in transition. transition.
And for Fordham, some good signs as well. Traditionally, Fontana's done the bulk of the scoring, but Tanner with 10, Moore with 11. It's rare that they get 3 guys doing the scoring and have multiple options. That certainly opened things up for them. Love free inside.
Xavier and open up early, getting the ball inside to Jason Love to establish that inside presence. Xavier 10 first half points in the paint.
Jason Love talking yesterday about they understand they have to respond for the back-to-back losses. Last time they had back-to-back losses in this season to Duke and Butler, they went out and reeled off 11 in a row.
This is a team, although they're still young, they do have senior leadership with C.J. Anderson, B.J. Raymond. And traditionally, Xavier does a great job of running their seniors, and they come out and take over the team. And that's what they're going to have to do, B.J. Raymond and C.J. Anderson.
Jackson fouled on the way to the hole. You look at Redford on the bench, the leading scorer so far with 9. Good balance for the Musketeers as well.
A lot of those shots are from the three-point land. B.J. Raymond is 2 for 4. Redford is 3 for 5. And Dante Jackson 2 for 4. So the leading scorers are getting it done behind the arc. Xavier shooting 50% from behind there.
Jackson knocks down the first. What a well-spoken, likable kid, hearing him speak yesterday and talking about the struggles that he and Holloway have had at the point guard spot. And Sean Miller's done a little one-on-one work with them, certainly getting some of the old skills to run off from a great college point guard in his days at Pitt, and not taking it personally and willing to receive that coaching and understand they need to grow to get better to get where they want to go, and that's deep into the NCAA tournament.
The hardest position to play at Xavier right now, and as long as Sean Miller is here, is going to be the point guard position.
Fontaine, strong, moved to the hole again and fouled. Xavier has had 8 straight points in the last 2:40, and that goes back into the latter portion of the first half.
You want to come out early in the second half and try to punch him right in the nose, and there's Fontaine making sure that his team doesn't get complacent. Dribble drive on Dante Jackson. Jackson's got to move those feet, get over there. Fontaine's very quick to the basket.
Fontaine hits the first. We talked about him being essentially an ace recruiter for Fordham. Lance Brown out of Patterson Catholic in New Jersey, highly touted guy. One of his other St. Anthony's teammates, Chris Gaston, who spent a year at prep school, is coming in next year. So Fordham has got some prize prospects on the way, and certainly a couple of the talented ones in the sophomore and freshman classes on the floor.
St. Anthony's got great players, and Bob Hurley does a great job coaching them. Actually, one of the Player of the Year candidates, Ahmad Nivens, played for Hurley a couple years ago.
Tanner tied up. Good work to save it. Now Green lost it. Anderson deals back to Raymond. CJ sets up BJ for the 3-ball. Number 9 in the triple category for Xavier in the game.
Once again, Xavier getting out of their defense. Fordham struggling when they get the ball in the paint to take care of it.
Tanner's 3 rimmed out. Brown dealing it to Lowe. Count that in the foul.
Everybody talks about how Derek Brown has gotten better shooting the outside jump shot and extending his range. He's done a better job this year of making the assist and making a good pass. Xavier up by 20.
Here on Valentine's Day, all you need is love. It's a common theme on Valentine's Day. Love is the main man. Xavier by 20 here at home. A run through the scores. We talked about it before, but a disappointing loss for Phil Martelli. Give credit to the Explorers, winning that one 75-68. John Giannini and LaSalle, boy, they've got some shooters on that squad. Rhode Island with a win, snapping St. Louis's 4-game winning streak in conference. And Charlotte, Bobby Lutz and the 49ers with a much-needed victory at home against GW.
Sometimes Charlotte is schizophrenic. They play so well
against some teams, and then they struggle against others, but they do have some talent. They've been hurt with the injury bug, too. I mean, it's really hard to go through a conference without having injuries, especially when you're not too deep. And that's really where Fordham is right now. They are not deep. Charlotte's not that deep. You got Dayton, who plays 12 and runs 12 in. Now that's 11 now that Rob Lowry's out. But very good teams in this A-10 conference, especially in the top half.
To shoot here for Fordham. Moore trying to work off the pick. Fontaine open. Back iron. Strong rebound. Moore and the putback for 2.
That's an athletic play by Mike Moore. Taking it strong to the rack.
Brown hanging, hitting, and the foul.
You know, Jason, in the last 2 games, Xavier hasn't done that. When they get scored upon at the one end, they punch you right back in the mouth at the other end and try to get a quick score. Against Duquesne and against Dayton, they were so athletic, Xavier stopped taking it to the basket. Here you see Derek Brown, a nice little floater. Stole that from Drew Lavender last year, the little floater in a teardrop.
And you heard that halftime package about his game and his success, and his teammates say, and we saw some of it there, at 6'8", he's quicker on the bounce than people realize.
Well, he's very, very athletic, and he's good with the basketball. He can bring the ball up court, and he has many occasions getting the rebound and runs the break. I think he's gotten better each and every year with his decision-making.
Xavier 4 of 5 from the floor so far in the second half. Fordham only hitting 1 shot in 4 tries. Moore off the curl, deep 3. Off the top of the backboard, that'll belong to the Musketeers.
Now Fordham really controlled the pace early on, slowing it down, running a lot of clock. Xavier picked up the defensive intensity and got the tempo moving up a little bit. Now Fordham trying to take the air of the ball again, running that shot clock down, but not hitting the jumpers like they did early in the first half.
Corner 3 again. 10th triple of the game. Jackson gets it done this time.
This is a different Dante Jackson in the last 2 games. He's really struggled, but it's nice to see him get his confidence back. Xavier's held the first 24 opponents this year under 40%, and early on in the game, Fordham was shooting the lights out of it. Now they're only shooting about 40% of the game.
Levine has it blocked out of bounds. Xavier shooting about 39% from three-point range in this game. How about 56? Jackson connects again, and the Musketeers rolling.
Campus is always a buzz, so the excitement factor is always fun.
You're getting a great philosophy about men and women for others, about being out there in your community and having small classes and a core curriculum that really exposes you to all sorts of views.
I knew I wanted to blaze a different trail for myself, and being here at Xavier, I've been able to do that.
I've really been given the power to pursue my passions and have confidence in everything that I do.
They don't just come to play, they come to win. Speed, strength, intensity. Man, their whole game is a force to be reckoned with. Ready or not, watch NCAA women's basketball only on CBS College Sports.
It's the slam dunk event of the year at Fort Walk Hall when the Atlantic 10 Men's Basketball Championship returns this March. Get your tickets at the box office or through Ticketmaster. Thursday and Friday, family 4-packs are just $79, and all students receive ticket discounts at the box office. Stop by the Pepsi Fan Zone presented by the Nike Factory Store at Atlantic City Outlets for Wall. Enjoy food, fun, and games free for all fans. Check out the details at AtlanticCityNJ.com. Atlantic City, always turned on.
This is the second meeting of the season between Fordham and Xavier. The first meeting, Xavier led by 15 at the break. Fordham had a big run in the first 5 minutes of the second half, got within 1. Not this time. Xavier up by 13, and they've increased the lead with a 16-4 push since the start of the second half.
Alberto Estwick did a great job of bringing Fordham back by himself at Rose Hill earlier in the year. But right now, Xavier's defense is just shutting down Fordham's offense.
And right now, the Musketeers have the same amount of points they scored in their loss against Dayton the other night. Check that. Redford is 4-3, vaults them over 60.
It's like Papa shot. I marvel at the way he gets that ball in his hands, and he really set that up that last play by getting the pass to Brown. Brown gave it right back to him for a quick 3. I told you he was a good shooter.
And he is the textbook look and definition of a baby-faced assassin. I mean, he's got the mug and the range. Big block from Brown. Open is Raymond. And Fontaine collects the rebound. Moore will try from deep and snake it in.
He can do it inside. He can do it outside. I really like this Moore. I know he's only shooting about 30% from three-point line, but he's getting it done. Last couple games, he's just been playing very good offensively.
He is 6 of 11 from the floor, and now McLean and the Musketeers really starting to expose Fordham on the offensive end.
And, you know, right now, Fordham, they don't have a deep bench. They can only put 1 or 2 players in off the bench, and they are struggling because they are worn down right now. Xavier just keeps throwing players in to the mix off the bench.
And the foul on Redford trying to slow down a defender, but nothing slowing him down offensively.
Now, this was set up by Derek Brown faking the 3. But, you know, Sean Miller has said that he is, in all of his travels, he's a pretty darn good player at Pitt. All Big East. Freshman of the year. This guy said he's never seen a guy in his life shoot the ball like Redford. And that's a big compliment. They've never seen a better shooter.
And that range looks lengthy. That was in the neighborhood of
it was effortless.
24 feet. And
Jason, it was effortless. I mean, he does it. I've seen him shoot back by almost the X effortlessly. No problems at all. Young fans here at the Cintas Center come out and watch him in practice.
Matt Beck on the floor. Walk on for this Fordham squad, trying to help out from long range. The shot was thrown up there by Green right before the shot clock expired.
Fordham just taking the air out of the ball on the offensive end.
Anderson off the window.
And that's big news for CJ because he was scoreless up to that point in time. CJ was 1 for 4 against Dayton. He was also 1 for 6 from the free throw line and really needed that basket to get him going.
That's his first field goal, as you alluded to, Steve. And 6 cracks in this one. And one of your top 3 scorers fails to score. It helps out. And the other players are picking up the slack.
You got Matt Beck in the game. He, like you said, he's a walk-on. He actually played for the former LaSalle coach, Speedy Morris, when he was in high school, but he's a role player, and this is a tough game for him to come in there and do something.
Wing trying to save it. Can't. Well, for the game, Xavier is shooting 55%, but how about 80% so far in the second half? 8 of 10 from the floor. Fordham just 2 of 12.
We know how that feels when somebody shoots 80%. Xavier played against Duquesne in the first half. Duquesne shot 80%. I mean, that's just phenomenal, especially against a team like Xavier. Got a lot of intensity and aggressiveness on defense.
Holloway lost it on the way up. Not sure if it was touched. It'll be Fordham ball.
Terrell Holloway still struggling to get that confidence. You can see him. He's dropping his head, and as freshmen go. He's a great kid. He's just got to realize that you have ups and downs. You got to play hard and make good decisions. You can't drop your head at any level of basketball.
There are those numbers from the opening half field goal wise. Foul on Xavier, chasing after the ball. It's on Jackson. That's his third. Well, Jackson, sophomore, Holloway, freshman. You see Fontaine, Eswick, Moore's a sophomore. There are a lot of great young guards in the Atlantic 10. We're seeing a bunch of them here in this one.
Well, you have Kenny Freese for Xavier, hasn't even played this afternoon. You have Cheek Lyons, who's a point guard who's sitting out for Xavier as a freshman. Xavier's got an upperclassman who's pretty good too, probably the best player on the team in Jordan Crawford. So it's sad with their point guard play struggling that they're not able to use him, but he'll be eligible to play. Transfer out of Indiana, he'll be playing next year.
Devine on the follow. Redford again. That's ridiculous.
You know, what do you say? I've said so much about him. And I think it goes to show if you practice as hard as he does, you can learn this game of basketball. It's just a beautiful thing. A guy that can hit a jumper like that. But he's worked his defense so hard that he's able to play minutes now. He wasn't playing as many minutes earlier as he wasn't as good on defense, but now he's picked up the pace on the defensive end.
Averaging about 5 points a game. He's got 15, 5 of 7 from deep. Nice run to the rim for Fordham. Mike Moore continues to pile up the points. 18 in the game for him. Love on the inside, throws it down. And the lead lengthened out to 30 for the Musketeers.
Really, this is what the doctor ordered for the Musketeers. Being able to get some aggressive plays to the basket, get guys shooting jump shots.
Fontaine gets two back. Sean Miller talking about this game all about finding themselves again. They started to build on the positives right now. And maybe the guy that deserves an A+ so far, number 12. Hoisting and hitting, and the Musketeers leading big. When Xavier scores 70 or more points, 31 straight wins for the Musketeers, and looking like they'll make it 32 in a row in that category here against Fordham. And look at the technique for Brad Redford.
Well, look at the technique, but look at the hash mark. Hey, Jason, I mean, that's, you see where the line is for the three-point line. He is a good 6 feet beyond that hash mark. He's a little guy. He flicks the wrist. You even mentioned at the break, it looks like one of those pitching machines or those simulator machines in golf. Just shoots it with his wrist. And it's fun. He's a great kid. You talk to him about how much he enjoys being here at Xavier University. He's a guy that made 102 straight free throws in his high school career. And then he missed. And then he made 35 more. That's very, very hard to do.
I was shocked when I looked at his overall numbers. He's only shooting 77% from the line. At first I thought it was a misprint. I'm like, he missed 4 this year? Come on.
Well, yeah, the crowd gasps when he misses a shot. Like he's not supposed to miss one.
Now the Musketeers, again, one of the issues they had in the last 2 losses, free throw shooting. 53% in the loss to Duquesne. They've gotten there 14 times and made all 14. Another positive sign for Sean Miller and company. Wing off the sweet save from Moore. That's it blocked. And now Brooke Brown can't handle the pass.
Ball went out of bounds. Last touch.
Xavier once again playing very, very good defense. Getting the ball out in transition. It's important right now with 9 minutes and 45 seconds to go that Xavier continues that aggressive defensive play. For them, they need to try to get the ball moving to the basket. I think they're settling for outside shots. It's a lot because of Xavier's good ball on the ball defense, but they're going to run the shot clock down. With 10 seconds to go, you got to start looking at where you're going to pass the ball. Right now, they're way beyond the three-point line with 6 seconds left. They have no Redford.
Moore continues to fire it up. 21 for him. That ties his career high.
They don't have a Redford, but that Mike Moore, I mean, he is really something special. What a great athlete.
Xavier foul, number 22.
That foul was on McLean away from the basketball. That's his second. And the fourth of the half on the Musketeers.
Fordham needs to chip away. Still 9 minutes to go. They got to chip away at the lead, and they got to do it trying to get the tempo back, and that's what they are, moving the ball around the perimeter, looking for the open shot.
Left to shoot for the Rams. Estwick. He had 20 last time did Estwick against Xavier and held scoreless so far. But Moore continues to attack.
You can just see the confidence that Moore has. Last 3 games, he is just playing like an all A-10 performer, averaging almost 20 points a game. This kid really is stepping up his game, and he's had to, because now 3 of the guys that Derek Wittenberg counted on beginning of the year are now out of the lineup. They need to put a lot on his shoulders.
And that's after losing 5 seniors from a year ago. 3 of them are playing as pros overseas. Brian Dunstan, Marcus Stout, and Sebastian Green. And again, maybe a missed opportunity for Fordham last year with that crew. 2 years ago, they had 18 wins. It fell short of that last year in those grand designs of pushing through the NCAAs for the first time since 1992. Fell by the board. They knew this was going to be a rebuilding year, and then the injuries have just piled on Coach Wittenberg and company.
Well, the other starter from that group was Brenton Butler. He was coming back as the leader to help these young guys, and then he got hurt. And then Bethel, who's the leading scorer, he gets hurt. And then Green, who's been player of the week twice this year as a freshman, is out for the rest of the year probably.
Offensive foul. Believe it's going to be Love. He and Wing were battling hard. And that's the 3rd personal on Jason Love.
That was a good play, but that was not a dirty play, and I think that, you know, that's an aggressive play to the basket. So I think it was a foul, good call. But I think the referees were jumping in there like it was maybe an intentional foul. That was not a thrown elbow. Good defense and a nice aggressive play on the offensive end. And Sean Miller's going to get a technical foul because he's a little bit frustrated at the referees, the way they called that foul. It was an aggressive call by the referees, jumping up and acting like it was maybe an intentional foul on Jason Love.
Here's another look.
You see a nice entrance pass. You're taught to keep your elbows up. It's a nice play by Jason Love. And Wing took the offensive foul with his cheek.
Fontaine knocks down the first technical free throw. And the second one stays out. And Steve, it certainly has been a clarifying point this year for officials about calling those elbowing issues on the inside.
Well, you got to love Sean Miller. He's up by 30 points, and he is arguing a call. He is fired up, and these guys really work off of him. I mean, they are fired up right now. He is not, he's relentless. I mean, they're up by 30, and he's sitting there arguing a call, getting his team fired up.
Estwick. His struggles from the floor continue. And another foul on Love. That may be number 4. We'll square it away after the break. Xavier trying to put away win number 21 on the season. XXX, well, 30 wins last year for Xavier. And right now looking for that 21st in this season. And here's a look at their tournament resume. The strength of schedule has been impressive. The non-conference getting it done, 12-2 and 8-2 so far in conference play, Steve.
Yeah, Xavier's won some games that arguably early in the year you probably wouldn't have thought they'd win. And you know, people look at that Duquesne and Dayton. In the A-10, I'm telling you, if you're in this conference, you know those are teams that are toss-ups. if you have a great game, you can win in those environments. And arguably Butler could have been one of those games that could be a key loss because they played at the Cintas Center, but Butler's only lost 2 games.
And just to tidy things up before the break, that last call was an out of bounds, not a foul on Love. He still has 3 personals, along with Jackson and Brown with 3 for Xavier. But Green has 4, Wing has 3, the only players in serious foul trouble for Fordham.
I like when you tidy things up, make sure we know what's going on, because I thought it was a foul on Love, but Xavier's continue to play real aggressive defense. Not giving an inch.
Fontaine just had to heave it. Didn't realize the shot clock was about to expire, and amazingly got rim.
It's a mismatch right now. C.J. Anderson on Fontaine.
And able to take advantage.
C.J. Anderson really needs a boost of confidence. He's been struggling shooting the basketball. And really, I think the reason why is he's not taking great shots. But right then, he knew he had the mismatch on Fontaine. It took him strongly to hold.
A timeout by Fordham.
They were just substituting, getting a sub in. So there is no timeout.
You saw 5 players now in double figures for the Musketeers. And they break out with a big scoring performance, 74, and it eclipses their average of points on the season, and still 640-some left to go in this contest.
I think what Sean Miller would look at is he's got his team playing their defense again. Fordham only shooting 37% and has not reached the 50-point mark yet with 6 minutes left to go in the game.
Tanner can't find the range. Holloway, sweet breakdown of his man, and takes it in for 2.
You can see how quick Holloway is off the dribble. It's just got to get that confidence up. As Al McGuire used to say a long time ago, the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores.
First points of the game for the freshman from Hempstead, New York. Jumper won't fall for Fordham. And traveling called on Holloway.
You see Holloway here breaking down a nice inside hand change. Crossover back for an easy layup. He's very quick. And that last play by McLean, throwing the ball to Holloway. It wasn't Holloway's fault. McLean's got to make sure he knows where the defender is before he throws the ball out to his guard as an outlet.
Round for Love.
Lots of picks in this offense for Fordham.
Wing trying to back down his man, lost the handle. Jackson flying down the floor. Brown with a big throwdown.
You'll see the nice pass by Dante Jackson and Derek Brown using Fontaine as a step stool and flushing it home. Fontaine really trying to man up and take the charge, but not a shot with Derek Brown taking it down.
A big-time stick for the junior. That's 6'8", 220 plus, coming right in your face. Fontaine as it rim off. McLean brings it across the timeline. Substitutions waiting for Xavier. Some of the bench guys going to get some pretty good run here in the second half. And the starter is still faring well as Raymond converts from the corner.
Right now, Sean Miller using his timeouts, and they're basically continuing the clock. He doesn't want to slow up the game, so he calls a timeout. And you'll see here, B.J. Raymond making his last shot and then going to the bench. You know, it's sad, Jason, I watch Fontaine and I look at Tanner and some of these other guys, and you really wish they had a better supporting cast because they are giving it everything they have. Right now, just not enough.
13 3 balls now on the season for Xavier.
Jacob Green, transfer out of West Virginia, really was playing so well until he hurt himself, broke his nose, and has to wear that big old mask. But Fordham really can't substitute right now. They don't have many people on the bench to put in the game.
Stephen Duckett, sophomore from Memphis, on the floor for the Musketeers. Joe Hughes, another sophomore out of Indianapolis. Both of those players seeing time in their 9th game of the season.
You see Duckett right there. Holloway coming in now for Dante Jackson. Jackson starting for the first time in a while. Had a great game.
The 3-ball goes for Duckett, his first field goal of the season.
Big number 13. These guys practice all week, all year, get none of the notoriety. It's nice for them to be able to have a chance to get in the game and show their wares.
Green from 18 feet, no good. And here's Duckett. From the corner, Redford can't convert. And Hughes is fouled. The bench brigade is on for the Musketeers, and Duckett doing it here at home. This presentation of Atlantic 10 College Basketball is brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Jason Knapp and Steve Wolf back here at Cintas Center in Cincinnati, and the Musketeers continue to have all the check marks in their favor. And look at the bench points, 25-zip for the Musketeers against the Rams. Their depth again an issue with the injuries this year.
Well, and you look at Mike Moore, the last 3-4 games, he's been shooting the ball well. Shooting almost 50%, averaging now over 18 points a game. And then Redford and Dante Jackson both have struggled in the last couple games. Really getting it done here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a feel-good effort for the Musketeers. Duckett can't hit again from the baseline, but you get the sense they need to prove it now on the road, and that next outing will be away here from Cintas Center at Charlotte on Thursday. Big block in the middle, McLean got it.
Well, sometimes you know, I think teams need to realize that they're fallible. You know, and everybody tells you, well, Xavier, you're going to win the A-10 and it's going to be a no-brainer. That's not the truth. Dayton, 15-0 on their home court. Duquesne, sellout crowd. Everhart's got them playing so well that this is very important that these young guys realize you just can't come in and walk in with a uniform. You got to play. You got to play hard.
Nice applause from Jackson for the efforts of McLean, who has the opportunity for the three-point play.
Jamel McLean on the line shooting one, returning to the Fordham lineup, number 1, Gio Fontaine, number 25, Zach Wayne.
McLean, transfer from Tulsa. 10 points, 4 rebounds, 6 players now in double figures for the Musketeers. Last time that happened, well, against Fordham back in January.
Xavier doing a great job, 20 assists. We've talked about the last couple games, they haven't been able to take care of the basketball, but they also haven't been sharing the basketball. This afternoon doing a great job of getting everybody involved in the game.
Green soaring in and keeps it alive for the Rams. And Moore fouled by Duckett.
That's Stephen Duckett.
Well, Derek Wittenberg, every time out, still coaching, still fighting, and trying to build for this squad. It certainly is proud history.
For sponsoring today's game.
And won the national title at NC State with Jim Valvano in '83. Assistant coach really paid his dues. A lot of stops along the way. Places like West Virginia, Long Beach State, Georgia Tech, George Mason had success, took Wagner to the NCAA tournament, and now trying to resurrect things at Fordham. And what he accomplished a couple of years ago was a good sign. And can they do it again with this young nucleus?
Well, and I think it's really tough, especially after really thinking last year that you had a team that you could get to the NCAA tournament, and then losing all those starters. I think it's there's a lot of good things happening at Fordham. Got to get some surrounding cast members to play with the young guys. They got a great cast of young players. And now it's they got to play the role of spoiler the rest of the year, trying to win games on the road, beat teams that are vying for the championship. Not going to be able to do it here this afternoon, though.
McLean again. Second chance, no. And still fighting for it. Now, Sean Miller, one of the things he told his team today at shoot-around was they're going to beat and get somebody else in conference play this year. Let's make sure it's not us today. And they have done that job. Followed by Hughes. Another bench guy. And the starters looking on, loving life. Second field goal of the game for Joe Hughes as the crowd chants his name. Estwick on the pick and roll.
You know, Sean Miller will say that's a great rebound and great drive, but you missed defensively. You know, he's an equal opportunity offender. Sean Miller will go after any player, making sure they get better. He tries to teach and teach and teach.
Hughes backing down his man. And lost it out of bounds. It belongs to Fordham.
To see the shot by Holloway. Hughes just going strong to the basket. You see the bench. It's very important to get everybody involved in the game. These guys work so hard throughout the year in practice on the scout team, and the starters know it.
Good work on the boards from McLean.
1 minute remaining.
Final minute here at Cintas Center. Redford. Well, the crowd wanted that big time. And McLean up and over the bench. That showed sportsmanship from Mike Moore as he battled with McLean, who elevated and teammates scurrying to and fro to dodge the 6'8", 235-pounder headed right in their laps. And the Musketeers 14-2 in Atlantic 10 play last year. Ready to improve to 9-2 this season. And a date at Halton Arena at Charlotte. Next on the docket for the Musketeers. Thursday, and that follows up with a home game back here at Cintas Center against George Washington a week from tomorrow. Holloway just working on killing clock here with the outcome decided. Duck it. Air ball. McLean at the other end with a block, and the Musketeers able to put one in the win column. After back-to-back losses, it's back to victory for Sean Miller and number 14 Xavier. An impressive victory, 88-53 over the Fordham Rams. Four straight 20 win seasons for Xavier, and win number 21, 12 in the past 13 years. And Sean Miller and this current crop of Musketeers continue to add to the rich history of basketball here. 6 guys in double figures. Redford leading the way with those 5 3 balls, 15 points in all. B.J. Raymond adding 14. Right down the line. Dante Jackson 13. Derek Brown 12. Jason Love 11. And McLean with 10. Steve Wolf standing by with Sean Miller.
Hey, Coach, you lost 2 games on the road. Really, you said you struggled defensively. I thought at the 10-minute mark, you really started getting involved defensively and took Fordham out of the game.
Yeah, you know, that was really what today was about, Steve. You know, through the long haul of a season, in a conference and just from start to finish, you're going to have those dips. I mean, you look at a team like UCLA, for example, who's a great defensive team. I think they gave up 80-some points. But as you keep watching them, they'll get it back. And I think for us, you know, it's a matter of not deviating and get back to what has made us a good team. And I thought our players gave great effort on defense. Sometimes we weren't perfect, but that's how we'll win the most games on our schedule if we can get back to being that tough-minded defensive team. And I thought as a team we really tried to do that today.
Well, you really got on a roll once your defense started taking over, and that's where you took over offensively. Also in this game, over 20 assists. That's pretty big.
It is, especially for our team, because that's something that doesn't come easy. But we have some guys not playing with great confidence. You know, I thought CJ, the first half almost spilled over from the last game and uncharacteristically missed some easy shots. But second half, he did a better job. I thought he defended while he didn't make him. And then I know Brad Redford, who just is so valuable to our team because of that unbelievable ability he has to shoot it. In the first half, when we needed baskets, he was there.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. We're with Brad Redford. Brad, I got to tell you, this crowd really gets behind you when you shoot that jump shot. You know, how are you feeling? You've been struggling coming into the game, only averaging 7 points over the last couple games.
Yeah.
What got into your head today when you were shooting that jump shot?
I mean, after losing a couple games and not getting a whole lot of looks, I just wanted to come in today and get my team a spark, and they were able to find me, and I was able to get some looks, and I hit some shots for us.
If I have to ask you what your range is, you know, I mean, I look and you're 4 and 5 and 6 feet beyond the three-point line. Do you ever even look at that line when you're shooting jumpers?
I usually don't look at it. You know, I've taken so many shots. I have a lot of confidence. Whenever I feel like I'm comfortable, that's the range I'm at. So I don't really think about it when I get in the game.
I'll tell you what, you did a great job shooting that jump shot, but you had 3 assists. Congratulations, Brad.
Thank you very much.
Steve, Brad, Sean Miller, thank you all. Xavier winning at home. Back to wrap it up from Cincinnati in a moment.
The pulse of college sports also beats online. Get even more from the original 24-hour college sports network anytime. At cbssports.com/CBS College.
The greatest college sports video library of all time. Introducing the new NCAA.com, the official site of college sports.
The Atlantic 10 home winning streak for Xavier continues, 22 in a row in conference, and as Sean Miller said, Steve, a confidence builder.
Yeah, confidence. They play great defense. Held Fordham to 32%. They had to over 20 turnover or 20 assists. That's a great win for the Musketeers.
Well, for Steve Wolf and our whole crew, this is Jason Knapp for the latest Atlantic 10 scores, news, highlights, and analysis. Log on to Atlantic10.com. This has been a presentation of CBS College Sports.